Tech. Early History, 1863 to 1912. The United States Army selected a 76-acre site at 1500 East Michigan in March of 1863 to be used as a military base for the manufacture and storage of Army supplies for the state of Indiana as the Civil War proceeded. In its time, this site was well beyond the city center, where the surrounding farms, roads, and trails were not densely populated, so it was deemed an ideal location to create and store munitions. Captain Thomas J. Treadwell, at the age of 31, began the task of developing the project. Treadwell oversaw construction of the first massive storehouse, known as the Arsenal. The Arsenal building is one of the most significant historical military structures in Indianapolis and the state of Indiana. Its 3-story height, imposing 6-story tower, plus basement, were made of stone and bricks crafted on the grounds. The doors of the tower, later modified to form modern doors present today, were left open so that horses and wagons could pull into the openings. A hoist and pulley system could lift supplies up to the appropriate floors above. The total dimensions of the building, which still stands to this day, 173 feet by 63 feet. Its keystone over the south door is dated AD 1865. A large clock, 6 feet in diameter, plus a brass bell are located in the tower of the building itself. The Arsenal mainly served as an arms and supply storehouse for the Army once construction was complete, and it is reported that at one time it housed as many as 100,000 rifles. Featuring a normal complement of 50 soldiers, in addition to artillery, harnesses and horse equipment, and even satchels like this, were made in shops on the grounds. Over the years, many other buildings were added to the Army base. In December of 1866, the magazine ammunition storage building was constructed. It had 2.5-foot thick walls made of bricks from the grounds of the campus. Many chimneys provided a type of air conditioning which kept the gunpowder dry. This building still stands to this day. In 1867, a guardhouse was completed at the main entrance to the grounds. This building is still standing much as it was when completed. Another guardhouse, identical to this one, was built in the center of the quad, where today the fountain stands. This structure was used as the principal's office in the early days of Arsenal Technical High School. The original building caught fire in 1921, and the structure was demolished. In 1869, the barracks for enlisted men was completed. It was built with a lower floor beneath ground level and 2 floors of adjoining sleeping and living quarters above. Each room had a fireplace for heat and many windows for summertime ventilation. In 1867, a brick 3-story barn was erected. Horses were housed in the lower level, and earthen elevation allowed wagons and grain to be stored on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the building. It still stands and is used today as classrooms. The artillery building, also added in 1867, was built to manufacture Army equipment. In 1893, this building was enlarged. It later housed shop classes and the cafeteria when students occupied the grounds. Both the east and west resident homes for the colonels and their families were constructed in the 1870s. These structures were identical. These elegant mansions were built with beautiful mahogany woodwork, hardwood parquet floors, marble mantels on the fireplaces in each room, and large windows which converted into doors, leading to porches on 3 sides of each mansion. Colonel Treadwell and other commandants of the Arsenal lived in these buildings for the remainder of the time this campus remained a U.S. Army base. The west residence still stands and is today called the Colonel's Cupboard. The east residence was torn down when Treadwell Hall was built by 1929. The arsenal's importance declined after the war with Spain, and the government authorized its closing in June of 1902. The last Sunrise gun was fired on April 13, 1903, marking the military abandonment of the grounds. On March 27, 1903, the grounds were sold at public auction for $154,000 to an Indianapolis public trust created to keep the property intact as either the site of a school or a park. A trade school was established and opened on the site November 8, 1904. Winona Chautauqua was a Christian organization that originated as a summer program for Sunday school teachers at Chautauqua Lake, New York, in 1874. It had quickly spread across the country, landing in Indiana in 1895. The organization arranged conventions featuring popular speakers and entertainers: Billy Sunday, William Jennings Bryan, Will Rogers, James Whitcomb Riley, and offered culture and religious activities for small communities around the country, reaching its peak in 1924. Winona leaders became concerned with the lack of qualified workmen and artisans of the time period, so the movement established a school board comprised of well-heeled businessmen who plotted out an ambitious plan. They first established the Winona University College in 1895 in Winona Lake, Indiana. A second school, located on the ground of the former U.S. Arsenal in Indianapolis, was called the Winona Technical Institute at Indianapolis. It offered courses in pharmacy, printing, lithography, building trades, electricity, iron molding, and other departments. The Winona Institute went bankrupt and had to be closed 8 years later in 1911. For a year when the campus was unused, but it was soon purchased by the Indianapolis Public School System for its new third Indianapolis high school, the Arsenal Technical High School, which would open its doors on September 11, 1912. Now let's review the buildings on the Tech campus, which were built during the time it was a U.S. Army base, 1863 to 1903. In 1912, Arsenal High School had just opened when this aerial view was taken, and much of this view remains remarkably similar today. The area within red on the left is associated with Building 1, which is the guardhouse. Building 2 is the Arsenal. Building 3 is the West Residence. Number 4, in red outline at the lower right, is Woodruff Place. Building 5 is the second guardhouse, also known as the Quadrangle Office. Building 6 is the barn, which is also known as Allen Hall. Building 7 is the barracks. Building 8 is the magazine. And Building 9 is the East Residence. The Arsenal building remains the dominant and lasting building on the Tech High School campus. This plaque greets all who enter the grounds of this campus. Established by an act of Congress in 1862, this arsenal furnished munitions for U.S. forces until 1903. It became the home of the Arsenal Technical High School in 1912.